Okay, so we're in the basement. Now, one of the things, if you have a problem with a dog that has issues being kenneled, putting them in a room that you don't hang out in can create a negative association. I've already talked to the guardian about this, and they're going to convert this, but if we want to pan around to the room so you can just kind of see, this is kind of an unfinished basement. It's a nice unfinished basement, but it's not a room that we hang out in. And as a result of that, dogs, the only real punishment for dogs to be excluded from the group. So if we come and put the dog down here in the kennel, and then we go to work, the dog doesn't realize we left. They just think, I got put down here and punished while they're upstairs having a good time. So that's why putting a kennel in a room that you hang out in is going to be a little bit easier. Now, they say for humans, when you get put in jail and you hear the door close and you're there for the night, that it's real. For dogs, when you close the kennel door, then the kennel becomes something an obstacle to overcome. A lot of people only put their dog in a kennel when they leave, because we're like, well, I wouldn't want to put him in the kennel the rest of the time. But because dogs went through association, what this teaches the dog, when I go in here, my human is about to abandon me. Now I have two things I'm dealing with. I'm alone and I'm restrained. So what we've done here is we've been practicing throwing treats in the kennel. We want the dog to be able to go into the kennel completely voluntarily, all 4 feet. At first he was leaving 2 feet out and leaning way in. Now I didn't film all that because it wouldn't be too terribly exciting. I had to go through a whole bag of treats. Now this kennel is slightly too small for him. You want to make sure your dog can go into the kennel, turn around, lay down without having to curl up, or stand up straight without having to stoop their head. So this kennel, not by a lot, but it is a little bit too small, and I think that is contributing to the issues here. Kobe. So what we're doing, I'm just tossing a treat in there. When he goes in there, I say the word thrown, which is the new command word. Now, if you've been saying kennel, 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 and your dog doesn't like the kennel, throw away your old word and come up with a new word so we can create a new positive association. Now the idea, the first step of this is we're just going to throw the treats in there. Every time he goes in there to get them, we're going to say the word, the new command word, thrown. So that way, at first he wouldn't even put only 1 paw in there. And now we've gotten all 4 paws in, but I had to take the lid off. And we put the lid back on and I have the door gone. So the next step, what we're going to do is I'm going to get him to go in here. And then I'm going to actually quietly follow behind him and stand behind it, and I'm going to block the door. I'm not going to let him out until he lays down. Now, this is an exercise that does take some time, so we may not be able to film the conclusion of this because it may be 45 minutes before he LAYs. Everybody. Now, we want to keep on throwing the treats until the dog goes in voluntarily. You don't want to shove your dog in. If your dog won't go in the kennel, then just do that. Put one right in front. If he won't go anywhere closer, right there. So we're breadcrumbing him to go in there. Well, might as well take this one. Well, might as well take the one that's in there. Now, I'm tempted to do it, and I don't want to shove the dog in, which is what I'm going to end up having to do here because we're running out of time. I don't want to shove, but I'd like to get him 3 paws in there before I do the next move. In the next move, I'm going to stand there blocking it with my legs. But the door, there's no door. Everybody. And this is another good visual aid of how we know that the kennel is too small. He can be right up the edge and get the treats that are at the far back without having to put his back 2 legs in there. Kobe. Now, when I get behind him, I'm going to kind of step backwards, unfortunately, because I'm going to end up having to put his last 2 legs in there, which is a negative. Now, when you're doing this, while you're doing this exercise, I just got done talking about this off camera, we would prefer to put the dog in doggy daycare for the 2 weeks while you're doing this exercise, so that the dog does not associate having to go in here at all. Just from now on means when I go in the kennel, I get the tastiest treats I've ever had. Right, Kobe? Yeah!